Hey, what's up guys, TJ here, and today we're going to talk about the EOS R versus the RP. Which one should you get, and why would you even think about getting the RP? So recently I had the opportunity to play around with the EOS R and play around with the EOS RP in the same room, together at the same time, and seeing them side by side, they actually look a little bit different than what I thought they did. But when you look a little bit closer and you have them both in your hands, they don't feel the same at all. So some of the noticeable differences that I saw just playing around with it for a few minutes. The first thing is the battery size. The battery is a different battery. The battery is much smaller. Actually one of those batteries that I actually remember seeing on, I think it's the T7, the Canon T7. Now that's something that will affect how long you can shoot with your camera. So shooting time, like how long you could shoot, how many pictures you can take off of one battery, things like that will be affected by that. Also, the LCD monitor was different. The R is a 3.15 inch monitor. RP is a 3-inch monitor. Now that's only 0.15 inches, but it makes a huge difference. Like just looking at it, it makes a huge difference. And the actual resolution on those LCDs are different as well. The RP being much less resolution. In that same realm, the electronic viewfinder is a lot smaller as well. You're talking about a 1/2-inch viewfinder on the R versus about 0.4 on the RP. That doesn't seem like a lot, but when you look through the viewfinder, the R, it just looks like it's a huge viewfinder. Going from the R to the RP, as far as looking through the viewfinder, you can really tell that difference. The function slider on the R is not on the RP. So that's something that you can customize and actually change to your own setting. You can make it whatever you want to. Those customizable buttons are not on the RP. Also, the mode dial is a bit different. Now you have that customizable mode dial on the R, but the mode dial on the RP is a little bit more traditional. On the RP, you also have limited recording options. Now the R already has its limits in recording options. So if you look at the RP, you see even more limits to those recording options. I feel like the R should have more in that body, but it doesn't have a lot in that body. And the RP has even less. When you get into those recording options, you'll see the difference between how many options you have available in the R versus the RP. And the last difference that I want to talk about that was noticeable to me was the megapixel count. On the R, you have 30.9, and on the RP, you have 26.2. Now let's get into some of the things that I like about the RP that, you know, the first thing is I actually like the traditional mode dial setting. On the R, it's a little bit different trying to get to different modes. It's a lot less quicker. So a couple of more buttons you need to press to get to a different mode, but there also is more mode options in the R. In the RP, all of your mode options are right there on that dial. You just kind of scroll through it like you would on a traditional DSLR. But it does remind me of a camera like the T7 or a Rebel series camera that is definitely a beginner level camera. I like that the majority of the features on the R are on the RP. Like if you look at them side by side, they look exactly the same. They look and they feel exactly the same. The EOS R being a little bit lighter, and the price is another thing that I like. The RP is significantly cheaper, as far as about $800. I mean, it's close to $1,000 cheaper than the R, and the RP has a lot of the features on there. A lot of the features that you would be looking for on the R for a cheaper price. But for that cheaper price, it also feels lighter. It feels like there's a lot less in that body, which is something that it could be a positive. If you want a lighter camera, if you want something that doesn't feel too bulky or too heavy, the EOS RP is probably the way to go. But just know that those things that are lighter typically have less features. And that's where I get into the things that I don't like about the EOS RP. Now, the LCD monitor size is significantly smaller. Now, we talked about the monitor on the R being about 3.5 inch difference at 3 inches. And you can tell that it's something that that is super noticeable when you have them side by side. I personally like that extra screen real estate. Now, both of them have decent borders. I wish we could use all of that real estate there, but the EOS R is a much larger LCD monitor. And to that point as well, I do like the larger viewfinder on the R. The larger viewfinder just gives you a much clearer view of what you're shooting. Now, I don't like the limited recording options that you have on the RP. Now think about it, if you really want to shoot video or shoot film, you want to have as many options as possible. Like I said, the R is already limited. You want to have everything that Canon is giving you or has to offer in this style body. So I would say that is a negative to go towards the RP for recording options. But if you don't care much about filming or recording, then this is not a big deal to you. What may be a big deal is the battery size being smaller and not being able to shoot as many frames as you want to. Now, Canon has good battery life. You don't really have to worry about a battery dying during a shoot or anything like that. But when you're working with a mirrorless camera, and you have all those electronics going, you wanna make sure you have the largest battery possibly. R is better in that realm. So going back to the recording options, I just don't feel like this camera is good for video at all. Just thinking of the things that they took out of this camera, it seems like a good, pretty much overall camera if you just want to get photography and a little bit of video here and there. But if you look at some of the options, the menu screens and things like that, they don't have enough on the RP for you to actually really do what you want to do as far as recording goes. One of the options that I saw missing from the menu screen was the release shutter without lens option. And that option is on the R and it allows you to shoot with cinema glass. Now, I couldn't find it. If you guys know, let me know in the comments below, but I could not find the option on the RP to allow me to shoot with my cinema glass. So for me, that's a negative because I own cinema glass. I would like to be able to use that glass on my RP. But with that lack of that option, I can't. Okay, so should you buy the RP versus the R? I think if you're just doing photography and you may just need a little bit of video, or if you just don't care too much about the photography, you don't want to dive too deep into it, you just need to get some good pictures, I think the RP is a perfect option for you. But I feel like if you are in any other situation where you can save the extra $800 to buy the R, I think you should. If you want to dive deeper into photography, if you want to dive deeper into videography, and you want to grow with this body, I feel like you do need the R versus the RP. The R is a much better option, and the RP seems to lack in a lot of areas that I feel like are important for people to grow. Now, the RP is a great beginner camera, and the R is also what people will call a beginner camera. We'll talk more about that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.